All right. Officially welcome to our Wednesday call. I'm so excited to see all of you. It's just been so long since I've seen all of you, and it's so wonderful. And big shout out to Connie, who is just soaking up sun and waves and wonderfulness in Hawaii. And so hoping she's having a beautiful, wonderful time. And to our other ladies who can't be here today that will watch this later. So we're so glad to have you all here today. We have a fabulous lineup. I don't know if you know who Julie Bellon is, but she's going to be joining us at 1, and she just knows social media and marketing. And so she's going to give us some great tips. And we actually are going to, you are all getting a book from her. And so I'm just going to say this right now, because I'm going to send you, it's going to be a free ebook. And so when you get that email, will you please open it and add it too, because it makes a difference for an author if you do or you don't. So when you get that, just open it, add it there. It's a short 15-minute, it's going to help you do like a 15-minute marketing plan. So super excited. She'll talk more about that when she hops on. So we're going to head and get started with our scripture. Our spiritual thought is going to be by Heidi.
Okay, so I'm teaching Relief Society. Well, I teach Relief Society once a month, and my talk this time, or my lesson, is on the talk from, I can't remember her name, Reina Aberto, I think is her name, and it's like, we are his church. And one of the things she says in there is that she says Relief Society is not limited to a room in a building, a Sunday lesson, an activity, or a presidency at the local or general level. Relief Society is the covenant women of the church. It is us, each of us and all of us. It is our global community of compassion and service. Anywhere and everywhere we go, we are always part of Relief Society as we strive to fulfill its divine purpose, which is for women to accomplish God's work in individual as well as collective ways by providing relief. Relief of poverty, relief of illness, relief of doubt, relief of ignorance, relief of all that hinders joy and progress. And I don't know, I just thought about all of you as I was reading that really, anytime we're doing anything that is bringing light and bringing joy and helping to serve those around us, that we are doing God's work, that we are doing our own individual part. And I think it's going to look different for all of us, but we're a part of this whole collective community. You know, the DTL is Relief Society, and the world at large, or any group we're a part of, a book club, or anything that is good and joyful and bringing relief and help to those around us is a part of God's society and his community. And I don't know, I was just thinking of that, how each of us plays our own individual role in that, and how we can use our gifts and our talents that God has given to each of us to create our own little relief societies, you know, like as we build our communities and we build our social media, and we're doing these platforms that are kind of specific to us, that all of those circles interlap with each other, you know, they're all connected to each other and create this whole pool, this whole sea, you know, of goodness and light and love and support and relief for each other. So I just feel grateful to be a part of this circle, and every other circle that we're building together. And individually, I feel like is a part of God's work, and just moving that forward and doing anything that we can is bringing him joy, and I just feel like he's proud of us. He's proud of us whenever we're trying to do anything that is light and good and joyful, and he supports us in that. So that's my message. In the name of Jesus Christ, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Heidi. I love that you said that. Anytime that we're doing anything that brings light, we're doing God's work in our sphere. And it has been a joy to watch each of you in your different spheres doing that, whether it's speaking, you're writing, artists in her events and her gardening. I loved seeing those in WhatsApp. And we're actually going to jump into that. We're going to jump into our wins. And so we'd love to hear. I've asked artists to explain, talk a little bit. She's been hosting a couple events lately. Well, I think this is your third event that you just did, because you did the brunch, you did the fairy garden, and you did the herb lovers thing. And so workshop. I was like, get the word right. And so I just wanted Artist to share just a minute, some of the learning she's had by doing this, and some of the wins she's had. And then we're just going to jump into share some wins. So Artist, go ahead.
Well, hello, ladies. And Heidi, thank you so much for your message. I've been thinking about that lately, so I really appreciate what you shared today. It was beautiful. So, yeah, so this is our third event in the garden, right? Third event. And each one is unique and each one's different. And I'm learning through each event and process, like what works, what doesn't. And I'm just trying to be open to learning. And I have to say this last one, and of course there's ladies in the DTL that came to join. We had Lisa that came and Sarah, and she brought her mom and her sweet friend. And then we had Lindsay come, but I'm learning to listen to those promptings, right? Like even more, there's a reason why we're constantly taught to hear him. And so one of the promptings I had with this herb lover's garden was, you know, I'm still trying to find that magic formula of like, do I have a speaker and then I also have hands-on, or what do I do, or what audience am I teaching? Because obviously a fairy garden is more for children compared to an herb garden is more for women, and what works. And I just, one of the promptings I got was to invite Sarah. And I had, you know, months ago thought, oh, should I do a speaker? But last week, I mean, this is the week before, like less than a week when the event, the prompting's like, call Sarah, reach out to Sarah. And I'm like, Sarah is busy. Like, don't you love it when you have a conversation with the Holy Ghost? I'm like, thank you, but she is busy. I am not going to make Sarah be more busy than she needs to be. And it kept coming back. Put it out to Sarah, see if Sarah can come. And so I listened and I put a text out to Sarah and message, and she responded within 24 hours and was so gracious and kind, because the more I started thinking, I was like, okay, I'm going to teaching them how to do herbs, but what's the next part? Like, how do they use this in their lives? How do they do this? And she was so kind and so willing to do it. And I just told her like 15 to 20 minutes, whatever you want, you know, something about how to cook with herbs. Because Sarah, if you haven't seen Sarah's cookbook, it's beautiful. I mean, it's just like inviting from the minute you pick up the book. It's so beautiful. And so she was really gracious and she did it. And what was interesting too is, as you know, the storm cloud, I don't know why every time we have an event, the storm cloud, the rain wants to interfere. And I love rain. I mean, I'm a true Oregonian. That's where I grew up. I love rain. But for some reason, it wants to come like minutes before the event. And I see this big storm cloud. And you ladies were awesome to just put out a prayer. And Lamira, you said you were in the middle of like the dollar store and you were saying the prayer. And my kids were like, Mom, because we had already set up outside. They're like, Mom, do we bring everything in? I'm like, no, we are just going to wait. We're going to see what happens. And I just waited. We didn't put out the refreshments yet, but then it started to rain a little bit. And so my kids came back and they're like, it's raining a little bit. I go, okay, here's some towels. Go out and wipe down the tables and the chairs. Well, they came back with dry towels and they said, Mom, it only rained in the heart garden and the children's garden. It didn't rain in the learning garden. Everything was still dry in the learning garden, which was amazing. And so then when Sarah comes to speak, of course, I had been so busy getting supplies together and everything. I just said a prayer in my heart that, you know, that day, like, how am I going to introduce the women? What am I going to say? And I kept feeling like, go back to the word of wisdom. And the word of wisdom in 89 and verse 10, 11 talks about herbs. And so that was one thing that I shared. And I didn't know if all the women were going to be LDS or faith-based, but I just felt like strong to share that. So I introduced Sarah and shared that message. And then Sarah came up and our messages were completely linked together. Like she was sharing the scriptures about the herbs and blessing our lives and going deeper into it and how to use it in your cooking and not to be afraid of it. I mean, it was so inspiring. And Sarah's like, we were on the same page there. And I just love that when it happens, right? When the Holy Ghost uses you and connects and stuff. And then sweet Lisa, it froze up there for a minute. She was going to bring her daughter, but couldn't, but she made an herb garden, 2 of them, one for her and one for her daughter. And it was almost like it was the perfect temperature, and you could feel this loving environment. Sarah even laid on the grass, like after everything, she was just laying on the grass. And you could just tell, like, all of us needed a moment to connect and just be surrounded by this beauty. I'm saying, you know, and another thing is Lamaya's like, is this energy rich for you? She asked me earlier. My response is, it's not energy rich when I'm like planning and trying to get people there and marketing and all that stuff. But what's energy rich is when I see everyone together and see it and see how God's hands have led everyone there. And even though we had a small group, we had the women that were supposed to be there. It really was just, it just keeps teaching me to listen, to move forward, and that just do your best and he'll provide a way for it. So it was just something I keep learning. So it was wonderful.
Thank you for sharing that, Artis. And Lisa and Sarah, if you want to share anything of your experience too, feel free or put it in the chat. And I just thank you. Something you said when, you know, you talked about not being energy rich, like all the stuff leading up to it. And I think about Nephi, right? And he probably was not thinking he was going to be a shipbuilder or a blacksmith or any of those things, you know, or learning how to make a bow, right? A bow and arrow and those things. But knowing what you said was seeing that what you did brought people together. And I heard basically your faith, you know, seeing what the Lord's hand in things is what was energy rich for you. And so that was beautiful. So thank you for sharing that, Artis. And we want to, yes, Lisa, please. And then
Artis's garden is just, the minute you walk into it, there's just this peace that comes over you. I mean, I don't know what it is, but you know, my life has been so hectic for the last month. I've been going. And when I walked back into that garden, I just let it all go. It just left. It was just the best night for me. Just simple to sit and actually not have to think about anything that's going on. It was just beautiful. And it was so refreshing for me to just sit and talk and hear and not have to think about anything. But that spirit that was there was just very strong, and it was beautiful.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you. And that's that healing outcome that is in part of her outcomes in creating that garden. And so if any of you haven't, it might be fun, Artis, for some of these new ladies, if you posted it before, like you did a year ago, before you had anything, and then an after of your garden, because some of us have watched that transform as you've brought in trees. But that way these ladies get an idea of what's happened for you over the last year and how that's happening. So that would be beautiful. Okay, let's open it up and let's hear some of your wins. We've got, you know, 5 to 10 minutes, depending on when our guest comes on. We'd love to hear what are some of your wins that you've had this week. And remember, it's summer and there's been a lot going on and we're pulled about 15 different directions each day. So remember, those wins don't have to look like this huge, like, oh, I got up and spoke and had a keto, or I had an event, but those wins can be those subtle things, those thought changes, those mindset shifts. So I would love for you to unmute yourself and just share a win, or go ahead and post it in the chat. Let's do some celebrating. Ashley started, she's like, got some writing done on her book, even being sick. And she was at a pickleball tournament last week watching her husband, and she still got her outline done and everything. So good job, Ashley. Anyone else? Go ahead and unmute yourself.
I'll go ahead. I joined NSA Mountain West chapter and national, so I'm really excited about that. The National Speakers Association, and girls camp happened. It's over. We survived no electricity with a power wheelchair and a feeding pump. So it was a great experience. And yesterday I was able to go to an all-day workshop on how to do search engine optimization and pay-per-click, and it was really great information, very helpful. It's a free workshop in Provo, if anybody's interested in that, it's like all day, they give you lunch, it's free, there's no sales pitch or anything. Anyway, those are my 3 things.
Angela, can you share the link to that workshop? Is it just through the Small Business Development Center, or is it something different?
Actually, it is not. A marketing guy that I worked with a year ago introduced me to Bruce Sebo. It's Bruce Rowe, R-O-W-E, but I'll write it down. He is like this major Google guy. He's like super, super amazing, awesome, has all the answers. He'll either do it for you, but he offers this free workshop so people can get through like the first 5 steps themselves, and it's so loaded with information. So I'll just put down his website, and then I just call them and say, when's the next class? And it's power packed.
Thank you. And that's awesome, especially for any of you who are getting your website up and going or have a website. That would be your step to do that. So fantastic. Thank you, Angela. Okay, another win.
I'll go. I spoke at that retreat last Thursday that was like a 90-minute presentation, which I felt like was going to be really long to take up the time and not get bored, but it was so fun. It was so good. And every time I have the opportunity to do that, that's where it feels energy rich to walk away like, oh, I love that. Connecting with the women and being able to share a message and feel like it was received, and so that was really, really fun to do that. And I submitted my 2,500 words to the emerging authors contest that the LDSPMA is doing. And so, yeah, just feeling like got a few things done that, were kind of fun and big. I haven't actually done my goal yet of revising my book, but I've gotten a couple other things done. So.
I guess I'll go real quick. This week I had a private session with Marnie actually, and had a pretty special breakthrough with her. Something I didn't I knew was there, but didn't really realize how much it was affecting me for like the last 23 years. So that was kind of huge and really cool. And then everything that I'm working on isn't coming as fast as I want it to, but I am getting, what everyone likes to call the downloads, and I'm excited about that. It's coming slowly and surely, and I had a couple pretty cool ones this week, but it's coming, so I'm getting there.
And I just have to ask, how many of you had that where like, this is not going as quick as I wanted it? Even this week, right? Like, this is taking too long. Yes. Okay, Carrie, go ahead and share.
I think my win this week, I shared one yesterday, I guess, but was being able to go to a fireside that Sharon Eubank did on Sunday. And I was there with my 3 oldest girls, and just she talked about women through church history that have done something, have felt a rumble and have done something about it. And it just was another testament really of what we're doing here. And that if it only takes one person, we can each make a difference in our little place of the world. And it was, anyway, so that was my breakthrough, was just to maybe regain some momentum from that, respark that need, and to remember when it's not going as fast as I want, that's why I'm doing it.
so tender, Carrie. And I feel like we all have those moments where we have to, we get stuck in like what Artis said and what you said, like the nitty gritty, like the stuff that we have to do to move this forward. That is not fun. And it's hard. It's, as my son said this week at swimming lessons, he's like, I don't want to be pushed. I just want to come swim. Right. So, so it's those moments of remembering our why we're here, remembering that call that we felt and we all have to have those moments. So thank you for sharing, Carrie. So, all right. We have time for one or two more. Anybody else have one that they would like to share?
I'm not sick anymore. I have been so sick. Like, I don't, they've taken COVID tests and I have not had that, but I had the worst upper respiratory infection apparently. And I'm now on day 4 of my antibiotics and I finally feel like I'm going to live. It may work. It's a possibility, which I feel is a win because everything has been back burner. I for the first week, I kept trying to keep up with even the recordings. And then this last week, I'm like, I just can't do it. Connie, I'm so sorry. Whoops. My phone dropped. But no, I am sick. I am on the mend. I appreciate the prayers. I appreciate everybody. And, I go, okay, now I really have to do something. So when everybody says it's not going as fast as they want, I go, gotta be sick and think, oh my gosh, it's just passing me by. But I'm not sick anymore. So happy day.
I'll go real quick. Jody, I'm glad you're feeling better. The lighting's not so great in here, but I just wanted to share, had a beautiful experience doing workshop number 4 with our YSAs. And when we turn it over to Heavenly Father, can I just tell you, the Spirit was strong and not dumbing down any of the content, just teaching the doctrine of Christ and the invitation to heal through Him was precious. So Jody, I was sick last week with you, but it's so wonderful when we feel better. And I feel like sometimes being sick gives us clarity to wake up and take a stab at it again with fresh eyes. So let's go.
Oh, ladies, thank you so much for sharing your wins. That was just, it's always wonderful to hear that. And thank you for each of those. If you didn't get a chance, share something in the chat. I've heard from a lot of you this week. And so please feel free to share those in there and let us know what you have been working on, what you've been doing. And we can't wait to hear. So excited to welcome on our special guest. This is Julie Bellon, Julie C. Bellon, right? And sorry, you can unmute yourself, Julie.
Yep, I'm Julie Coulter Bellon.
And I'm so excited to introduce you to her. Connie has just spoken so highly of her, and she's talked to me for the last couple months and said, I really want to get her on. And so we're so happy to have her here. She is the best-selling author of over 24 romantic suspense books. Her book, All Fall Down, won the Roan Award for Best Suspense. The Marquess Meets His Match won the Roan Award for Best Audiobook. And make sure when I say this, A Métis Christmas, Thelma's Gift won the Best of State Award for Best Children's Book. So she's hit all of these different genres. I love it. And her most recently, her books, The Capture and Second Look, were both Whitney finalists for Best Suspense and Mystery. So she loves to travel. And her favorite city she's visited so far, probably Athens, Paris, Ottawa, and London. And in her free time, she loves to read, write, teach, watch Hawaii Five-0 reruns, love it, and eat Canadian chocolate, and not necessarily in that order. So, and I've told them we're so excited because they are all going to be getting your book, The 15-Minute Marketing for Authors, How to Build a Marketing Plan That Works and Find the Time to Use It. And ladies, it's going to be not just for authors. You are going to glean so much from her today about marketing, and you'll be able to use this whether you are in the writing track or not. And so we are so excited to turn it over to you, Julie.
Thank you. I am so happy to be here with you today. Now, tell me, are most of the people in here authors, or are they mostly just people with a great idea? Do we know?
So how many of you are currently in the writing track or have been writing or written a book? I've been writing one. Okay. And we have a couple that I don't think, I know there are a couple others that you can't see that are, and then a lot of other people have a great idea. So it's one of our,
Awesome.
we encourage each of them to at least do something like that. So
Yes. All right. Well, I want to tell you a little bit about me. I'm the author of 30 books, and I'm the mom of 8 kids. And so I'm trying to find the balance of a writing career and a mom was a little hard for me, especially when they were all really little. So my publisher asked me to do my own marketing, and I was at a loss going, I don't even know where I would find time. I can barely find time to write. So I developed this plan, this marketing system that has really worked for me. And a lot of people might look at it and go, well, that's just a drop in the bucket, but all the drops in the bucket, they add up. And it has really made a difference in my life. So I'm excited to share this system with you. Can I share my screen? Does that work?
yes.
Okay, let me, oh, did I lose you? Just a second, there we go. Can you, there we go.
There's coming.
So these are my 8 kids, and I'm really proud of them. And I'm excited to do a lot of the people in here have kids? Are they trying to balance this as like I was? Yes.
This is all of us.
Well, I'm going to show you today the power of just 15 minutes. So really, when you look at the marketing tools out there, you can really separate them into 5 general areas: foundation, product related, social media, promotion, and networking. And today we're going to talk about just a few of the tools, but the marketing landscape changes constantly. And so these are just some of the tools that you can use. No one would expect you to use them all, but the ones that speak to you, that resonate with you, those are the ones that you want to focus on. So let's start with the foundation. If you are building a house, you would not want your house builder to do it without a plan. And when you are marketing, you definitely want to have a plan. It's not just willy-nilly. And the first thing to start with is your foundation. So you have your product, and you want to have a product that can be easily found, that has some visibility, and that people have a good experience with. So that's why you also need like a website or an Etsy shop, somewhere that people can find you. So let's talk just a little bit more. Your product, now, of course, mine are books. My products are books. And so the first thing that you notice about a book generally is the cover. And contrary to popular belief, people do judge your covers. And they would judge your product as well as in the way it's presented. So on the left, cover number 1 was my first cover I had for my book, All Fell Down. And it did just fine. I won an award. And my sales were so-so. It wasn't what I wanted or expected. And so I was looking around at what some other suspense authors had on their covers and the elements of it. And since my book is romantic suspense, I wanted like a couple on it. And I wanted my name to pop a little more. And so I switched graphic designers. And this is the one that he designed for me, on the right. And as you can see, it kind of looks like a movie poster, and my sales spiked significantly. So whether you're doing a book or a product or an idea, you want to make sure your presentation just really calls to the consumer, that you have something that's going to draw people in and say, oh, I want to click on that and see what else that is about. So this is still in your product foundation. This is more for authors, but your foundation for your book, you definitely want to have a professional edit, because you want your readers to have a great experience. You want them to think, I love Julie Bellon books, and I'm going to read everything she writes, or she's going to be my author. And if you have typos or things that make them stumble, then they're not going to have that experience, and you won't probably get repeat business. So you want to have it professionally edited. And if you have a different product or an idea, you just want to have the presentation be, wonderful. Like if you have people telling you how to make it better, listen to them and take into account what, their suggestions are. a great first chapter. On Amazon for authors, we have this cool feature called Look Inside, so that readers can click on it and just take it's like trying on an outfit in a store just to see if it's a good fit. And it's a little perk for authors. And so if you have a great first chapter that hooks them and makes them want to press that buy button, you'll definitely want to make sure that first chapter is stellar. And a great back cover copy. I know not all of us are authors, but back cover copy. But they studies have shown that your consumers on Amazon will look at your cover for 8 seconds, and they will look at your back cover copy for about 25 seconds. So if you haven't hooked them in your first sentence or two, they will stop reading and click away. So you definitely want to make sure that you're just talking about the stakes. You want to have them looking at your stakes and wanting those questions answered, like, will they die trying to save the world, or will they fall in love or find a second chance? A website is another part of your foundation because you need visibility. When you're an author or when you are someone who has a product to sell, you want to be able to have people find you. You would be surprised how many author websites or product websites where there's no cover headshot of the person, the author or the creator. There's no contact information. I mean, those things are the must-haves. And I personally, since I review books for Meridian Magazine, I love having a media kit because it's just something that is a one-stop shop. So you have all of your books listed, you have your contact information, you have everything a press person or a reviewer would need. Your covers all in one spot, so you don't have to, go back and forth with the person. It's just all right there for you, and it looks really professional too. And I think that would be the same for any product. So once you have the foundation things in place, you can move on to the next section, which is just product related marketing. Now let's talk a little bit about your brand. Having a brand is so important because you supposedly, and this, I think studies have shown this is true, you have to have 7 points of connection with someone before they will buy your product. And so having a brand is an easy way to get those 7 points of connection. So this was my branding photo. And you can see there that I have a lot of my books, my romantic suspense books, and I have my tagline, I have my name in large letters. And so I have this on all of my bookmarks, I have it on my business cards, I have it on my Facebook, my Twitter, so that when people see that, it's like, oh, well, that's Julie Coulter Bellon. And you would be surprised how quickly you can get those 7 points of connection when they see that. Just the consistent images is very important. And your author tagline or your product tagline, it's just that little snippet so people know what to expect. When they pick up a Julie Coulter Bellon book, they know they're going to get action-packed suspense with a touch of romance. That's my tagline. And that makes it easy once you have your brand image and your tagline. Oh, it makes everything so much easier when you're making your things like your bookmarks and your business cards and all of those extra things that give the more points of connection to your consumer. Now, if I was talking to mostly authors, we would go on to talk about claiming your author profiles on Author Central, on BookBub, and those sorts of places. But I don't want to take up all the time with author things. I could talk all day long about author things and the backdoor marketing. And I do want to leave plenty of time for you to ask your questions. But let's talk a little bit about social media. Sometimes for me, I'm a little bit of a shy person, so social media is tough for me a little bit. But social media isn't really for selling. It is for connecting and building your brand and building your visibility. So we have a ton of social media tools available to us, a Facebook page, a Pinterest, Instagram, Goodreads, Twitter, Facebook groups, and of course, TikTok. I just got on TikTok a few weeks ago, and I'm really having a lot of fun with it. I have enjoyed that a lot. But you want to try and choose the social media that is comfortable for you and that you will consistently post on. Because if you're not consistent, then your consumers won't interact with you and you won't get the visibility that you want. So one of suggestions that was made to me was that if I'm not going to be on Twitter, I am, but if I wasn't going to be, I would at least have a Twitter profile that points to my Instagram page or my website or wherever I am, so that people who are on Twitter can find you and be pointed to where you are for visibility's sake. Same thing with Instagram. If you're not going to be there, at least have something on there that posts where you are. And there's so many great things about each one of the social media tools. If you have a product, I don't know if any of you listen to podcasts. I host a podcast called Authors Off the Page and Book Chat Book Club with Julie. And I love having guests on podcasts. And if you have a book or another product, find some podcasts. Those are really hot right now for marketing. Launch parties. For authors, it's different, but a lot of cities right now are having finally in-person like festivals and events where you can do a little pop-up booth and sell your things there. Your local library is also a resource. There's all kinds of fun little things you can do in person as well as social media. And that kind of leads us right into networking. There are so many great networking tools out there, especially for authors and creators of, as you can see there. One of the most easy ones to do is your email signature. You might not know, but just, redoing your email signature of, Julie Coulter Bellon, author, find me here and have my website. And then every email I send, that has it on there. And you would be surprised how many people have clicked on it and said, oh, I didn't know you were an author. And, oh, I bought your book and that sort of thing. So you just never know what tiny little things will spark a sale or spark a connection. You can read all of those there. There are promotions for ads, paid ads. It's part of a good marketing strategy, but a lot of times that's what people think marketing is just paid ads or that sort of thing, but it's actually only a small part of your marketing strategy. And there's tons of ways to promote books and other ideas. Bookmarks and business cards, I can even tell you, I keep a few in my purse and I always run out because whenever I'm at the dentist, I'll meet someone, oh, I find out I'm an author, what do you write? And I can give them my card, I can give them a bookmark, those sorts of things I just have a little bit with me. National and holiday theme ideas. I write law enforcement, romantic suspense, and military romance. So a lot of like Law Enforcement Appreciation Day, I do paid ads for that and promos for that, and I prepare for that. And there's just all sorts of little national holiday theme ideas. If you are a romance person, February is a big month for you. You always want to be prepared for Cyber Monday and Black Friday, those sorts of things. But have your promo images and all of your things we talked about earlier, branding right in place, and that makes it all so much easier. All right, let's talk about let's frame our marketing plan so I can tell you. So the first thing you want to do is have your baseline. So this is kind of a little sheet that you can look at to talk about, what are your Kindle sales right now? What are your page reads? What is your rank and things? Obviously, this is for an author, but once you kind of know where you're at, you can see where you want to go and make your plan accordingly. There's tons of ways to track. I still love paper and pen. I don't know, I was a journalist in the former life, and so paper and pen just always kind of is soothing for me. So you can still have this. Spreadsheets are fun too. But anyway, so let's talk about using a tool that you'd like to try from each section in your plan. So your marketing plan would look like this. So maybe on Monday, you think to yourself, okay, I'm going to spend my 15 minutes of marketing on updating my media kit for my website. Tuesday, you're going to make a new, header for your branding. Wednesday, you're going to do a Facebook poll. Thursday, you'll work on a section of your newsletter. And then Friday, you'll do a National Day, promo planning. And it's just kind of getting started. It's getting into it. It's thinking one thing per day. You're biting off one little bit of it to make the bigger whole. And then once you get the hang of it, you can add a few more things. Once you're a little bit, better, things go more smoothly, and you can add more tools to your 15-minute window. So you can, log into Author Central, update your book profile, put up an AMS category ad, post on Facebook and Instagram. So you just look at your 5 sections and pick one tool from that section and concentrate on that for the day. Then once you get the hang of that, these are 4 traditionally published authors, because they have traditionally published authors have a little bit of a different situation. So their 15-minute plan would look different. But I was going to say, let's go back to this one. Once you've decided, for example, if you wrote medical romance and you wanted to do a promotion for National Doctors Day, for example, you could go to your foundation section and look at, okay, is my website updated and ready? Or is my book cover up? Have I put on any new reviews I've gotten or awards I've won since the book has come out? And then you could go to your second review. Is my newsletter, ready to go out? Have I gotten all of those things, my branding images ready for the promo? And make sure your back copy is enticing and that your images are ready. So if you wanted to do some great images for free, I don't know how many of you know about Canva and BookBrush. They do amazing images. BookBrush is not free necessarily, but it's affordable and it is a game changer if you are an author. So you'll definitely want to look into that. But anyway, once you get your images ready, update them for your blog, for your newsletter, for your website, your social media platforms, and then drop the price on your book and submit to some book promo sites. Then give the ARCs to your street team or get your newsletter out, and then start your social media where you're doing some reading a first chapter, do a character interview, do a Facebook or Instagram story, depending on what social media you've chosen. So you have your whole marketing focus, and you're focusing on these 5 areas and just choosing one tool from your marketing toolbox from each of these areas, adding it to your 15-minute plan. And then it's not so overwhelming and it frees you. Once you have a plan in place and once you're thinking, okay, I can do this, because I'm not a technically savvy person. I have a really hard time with learning those types of new things. But once I just take off small bites, and it just makes it so much easier and less overwhelming. And then I'm more motivated to do it. I don't know about you guys, but when I get overwhelmed, I think, oh, I just can't do anything. But when you break it into smaller bites and 15-minute increments, there is power in 15 minutes. I know it, I've seen it. I have built this marketing system and used it. And like I said, I have 30 books and I'm a bestseller and an award-winning author. And so I know that it works. And I know that it can work for you too. So I just wanted to, if you wanted any of these spreadsheets for, to look at for yourself with the formulas built in, you can go to my website, juliebellon.com, and under Marketing for Authors tab, there's a free download there for you, and also a printable marketing tracker. So, all right, I talked and talked and talked. Do I have any questions?
This is wonderful. Heidi had a question and she said, what are the best book promo sites?
Oh my goodness, there are so many. It depends on what you're looking for exactly. Let me see. In the book that you're going to get, there is a whole list on promo sites, but it depends on how much you're willing to spend. If you want to, BookBub is the biggest one out there. That is a huge promotion, but it costs about $600, but they send your book out to, can be over 1 million customers. So I've always made my money back and a profit when I've done BookBub, but it's a pricey upfront thing. Then you have places like Book Cave, which is more affordable. It's more like $35, and you can really get your sales rank up there on Book Cave. I've had really good luck with them. So it just depends on your budget and what your plan is for your marketing. I mean, you're going for visibility. You want visibility, but you still have to stay within the budget. Do we have any other questions?
Feel free to unmute and ask anything you have.
Julie, tell me the name of the company. You just said Book Club. Was that what you just said?
No, BookBub. BookBub.
Oh, okay.
And if you're an author, you want to claim your profile on BookBub, and that's free to do. And then once you claim your profile, if you have a new release, they will send it out to all of your followers. So having a BookBub profile claimed and getting followers on BookBub is a really great idea.
Gotcha. Now, do you sell most of your books as ebooks? Do you do any audiobooks? Do you sell paper copies? What is the format of yours?
I do it all. I do paperback, audio, and ebook because they're all three different revenue streams. And you have so many readers out there who want all of those and need all of those. So some people are just straight paperback, some are straight audio, and others love the ebook. So I want to catch everyone I can and build that visibility and build my brand.
Did you find somebody else to read your books for your audiobook?
Yes, I went to Audible and I had auditions for the ones that I wanted and I chose from them. I lucked out in the audio department because this man, Tristan Wright, he can do all the accents. A lot of my books are set overseas with a Canadian task force. And so we have Middle Eastern accents, Canadian accents, Australian, American, and he can do them all and is amazing at it. So I really lucked out. And for my regencies, I found a London actress and I could listen to her read the phone book. She is amazing. And we just won Best Audiobook actually last year for the Marquess Meets His Match. Yay! But yeah, Audible is amazing and it's really easy to do. And they have free options and other budget-friendly options. So if you're not wanting to pay thousands of dollars up front, there's the budget-friendly options for you.
I can unmute. Yeah, really quick question. How many hours a week do you write approximately? Do you have an idea?
Well, it varies because of my family situation. So this is how I did it when the kids were little. This sounds so silly, but I would put Barney on or, Paw Patrol. And so while the kids were watching their half an hour show, I would rush to the computer and write for 30 minutes all the things that I had been thinking about while I did the chores or took care of the baby. I used to play a Lego game with my boys and I would actually be blocking my scenes, my action suspense scenes while I'm playing these Legos, and the kids thought it was a really fun game. And I'm like, oh, and then, the bad guys are chasing the lady and the hero's coming. And anyway, so yeah, not sadly, but interestingly enough, my brain, I did that for so many years. My brain, even now, only really works well in 30-minute increments. So I have to write for 30 minutes and then maybe go do a chore or some housework or something else and then come back. So I would say I write maybe an hour a day. I'm not one of those authors. There are a lot of really great authors that can put out a book every 2 months. I am not. I'm still like a 2-book-a-year person. So maybe once all my kids are grown up, it'll be different, but I'm happy with that right now and I feel good about it.
Love that. And that goes right along with what they've been learning about the Pomodoro technique. So to do it in the chunks and love it. Okay, we have another question. Ashley asks, would you recommend doing an audiobook for your first book?
You know what? I would recommend doing an audiobook, even, for a first book or any book. I just think that there's so many people out there that listen to audio and love to hear it. I think getting the right narrator is really important. So do your due diligence with narrators and auditions. Auditions the one and pick the one that speaks to your heart that you love to read. Because, for instance, when I found my narrator, he brought the book to life for me. It was like I was listening to a movie or something, and I knew he was the right one. So just be careful when you pick them because a narrator makes or breaks a book.
And I want to add in there too, because I've listened to some nonfiction authors that have read their own, and I had to put them on. I'm like, I can't go more than double speed because it won't let me. Whereas I've listened to other nonfiction authors that wrote their own book and read it, and they were like exactly who needed to read that book because they would add in their personality. And so, but somebody else, I'm like, oh, you needed a different reader.
Yes, and they are specifically trained. Voice actors are trained to do things that as an author, I did actually think one time about doing my own book. And then I'm so glad I didn't because it worked out so much better having a voice actor. I do a podcast though, so I'm getting more used to hearing my voice on audio. I was just at my daughter's dance camp and a lady was sitting next to me. She's like, your voice sounds so familiar to me. And I'm like, I've never met you before. I don't think so. She's like, you do authors off the page. I love you guys. So that was kind of fun. I love talking to other authors. I hope you feel comfortable asking me any question out there. I've been in this business for 20 years and I love talking books and writing and everything under the sun.
Julie, tell me about your decision to self-publish versus hybrid publishing or being published by, like a major publisher.
Well, my first 6 books are traditionally published. Covenant was my publisher, and I enjoyed my experience with them. It was just fine. They helped me build a fan base, and I got to be on television, and I did book signings every single weekend for a whole year. And then we had a contract dispute, and they wanted some things that I wasn't comfortable with doing. And so I decided to go off on my own. And it was a learning curve. I'm not going to lie, it's a learning curve, but I built my team. I have a cover designer, I have an editor, I have, all these wonderful people that help me make the best product I absolutely can make. And it's been wonderful. I love having the control of it and being the CEO of my own author business. It just depends on what you're looking for. If you're looking for validation of you as an author, that someone else thinks your work is amazing enough to publish, then yeah, try for traditional. I had a great experience with it. But if you like having the control and you like being the one that gives all the, okays for the cover, okays for the title, your story is exactly how you feel it should be, then I would definitely choose indie publishing. You can do hybrid, like you said. I just like the freedom that I have as an indie. And I make a lot more money. Is that rude to say?
No.
No, that's being very honest and straightforward.
Yes, traditionally published authors make very small percentages of their books. So you have to sell over 10,000 to even make it really profitable, in my opinion.
Do you have any recommendations for cover designers for nonfiction? Because it seems like the fiction designers, it's like a different, I don't know, mindset or something than the nonfiction. Do you have anyone that you would recommend?
I do. I would recommend my cover designer, Stephen Novak. He is absolutely amazing. His website is novakillustrations.com, and he can do anything. The thing I like about him is he gets my vision. It's like I tell him what I'm thinking, and then he makes it. And I'm going, yes, that's exactly what I was thinking. And there it is.
Is that, Julie, do you spell his last name Novack or just a K?
Just a K. And he's really affordable. That's the other thing I like about him, because it's $80 for just an ebook cover and $160 for ebook and paperback. So you won't find that price anywhere else. He loves working with indie authors and any author, really. He's just a really great guy and good at what he does.
Wonderful. Any other questions? These are so great, so helpful, Julie. I know I've been taking a ton of notes as well. So,
well, if I can tell you any more secrets, just ask away.
So what would your first step be on marketing? Like if my book's almost ready and, I'm kind of on the verge of being ready to market, what would that first step be for getting it out there?
Well, of course, we did the foundation ones. I'm sure you're planning on the professional edits. You've gone over your first chapter a million times, your great back cover copy. If you're not good at writing it, there are people out there who will do it for you. I used to do a side business of back cover copy, but anyway, I would definitely make sure you've got a little bit of your branding in place so that when you do your social media websites, it's already there for you. You've got your little author tagline so people know what to expect when they pick up a Heidi, I can't say your last name, I'm so sorry, book.
That's okay.
My last name gets mispronounced all the time. It's Bellon, but everyone says Bellon. But anyway, yeah, I think having your branding in place is really giving you a step up, because when you do your bookmarks and business cards, even if you change them later on, at least you have it right up front so people will get to know you and start getting those connections with you. And so hopefully you'll be on their auto-buy list sooner rather than later.
And do you have someone that you'd recommend for like building a branding kit kind of a thing?
Well, I just did mine myself. I actually asked Stephen Novak to help me with this image, and he did help me with it to make it look awesome. So having him as a graphic designer has been awesome. But you can find, not to say cheap, but affordable, that's a better word, affordable Bookmarks and things at Vistaprint is generally good. Oh, there's a lot of companies out there. Got Print is another one. There's a lot, and you can find good coupons for them. And so that's always nice too, to get for a little bit cheaper. My local print place in my city will give me 500 bookmarks for like 10 bucks or something. So look around and get the prices. And you want something that's quality. You don't want it to look homemade, of course. So just look around and make sure you're getting a good deal and still looks great.
Oh, sorry, Heidi. A question with that. So a lot of these women have been doing branding because they've been branding before, but before they've become an author, do you recommend making sure that that flows really well with their look and feel of what they've just as, you know, a media presence or a speaker, to really kind of go make sure that fits with their book? Does that make sense? I don't know if I'm making sense, like to make that look and feel of their books to go with what they're, or just to make sure that that's all. What I'm hearing is it needs to be all like fluid, cohesive with whatever.
Well, you see, that's the thing. And I was talking about this with Connie because her branding with her books is a little bit different than her branding as a coach and the other things she does. So it's almost like, do I keep my branding for my suspense and then just have my romance is different? Do my children books be different? You know, a lot of people do pen names to keep them separate so that you can get different ads and whatnot. Amazon will put you in a category. And so if you have a whole bunch of things in a different category, you can get the wrong algorithms going. But I personally haven't had an issue with that. I do romance, I do romantic suspense, and I do historical romance and children's books. So I just have them all under the umbrella of Julie Coulter Bellon. But I do have, I was going to see if I had one right here in my drawer. Oh, I do. So for my historical romance branding, it looks a little bit different. I don't know if you can see that. But so you can have different branding for different things. And I don't think that that's bad. Just depends on the audience you're talking to and the visibility you're going for. And that can keep
your colors are similar. Like I see in your, you know, your suspense romance, like you've got the blocky letters that look more like the suspenseful, but even on your bookmark, you had similar coloring, but the font was different, right? The feel was different.
Exactly. So you can have some same elements and still make it look enough that people know it's a little bit different than what they're used to.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks.
And Heidi, I was going to say there is backdoor marketing when you're uploading your book. I don't know if you're doing indie, but if you are, when you upload your book to KDP, they have, they're going to have you put in 2 categories and they're going to have you put in 8 keywords, but you can have up to 10 categories. You just have to email them. It's all in the book that you guys are going to get on how to do it exactly, but make sure you do that because Amazon is one of obviously the biggest sellers out there. And the more categories you're in, the more they'll show your product. So you definitely want to get that.
Do you have any advice in regards to writing and getting a children's book out?
Yes, I just got my first children's book out in February. It came out in February and my second one comes out in September. My best advice would be to find the right illustrator. That it makes or breaks the children's book for me. But there's also some great Facebook groups out there for children's authors to help them. There's a conference out there for Kidlit, which is really helpful that I found. But yeah, finding my illustrator, he knows the business. He's an award-winning illustrator. His name's Mikey Brooks. And so, yeah, I would definitely get in some Facebook groups. SCBWI is a good one, just to get some advice on the path to take, because it's a lot different than nonfiction or even fiction, as you well know, I'm sure. I've had a really great experience with it.
Any other questions as we send Julie off? Anything else? All right, ladies. Oh, thank you so much, Julie, for coming and teaching. This was just wonderful. I just want to ask a quick question of my ladies. Can we get a screenshot? Because I know I want to send it to Connie because she wanted to be here but couldn't. And so anybody else could put on your picture real quick, if you don't mind. Is that okay, Julie, if we just do a quick screenshot?
Yeah, just let me stop screen sharing. All
There
right.
you are great. Okay. Anybody else that can show their cute face? Okay. Ready? We got a 3, 1, 2, 3. Awesome. Thank you.
I
And
hope
Julie,
I helped a little.
ladies, did any of you get stuff out of this? Was there something super helpful? Oh,
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It was so great to meet you all a little bit. And you, Lamira?
yeah. So great to meet you, Julie. And we will be in touch. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And if you ever have any questions, you can email me anytime, juliecoulterbellon@gmail.com.
And we'll make sure to get you her email and her website so that you can go check her out.
Thanks again. Bye-bye.
Bye, Julie. Oh, ladies, wasn't that just so great? I just thought this was so good. So, all right, we have time to do our breakout rooms. So excited that you could be able to come back. You'll be able to talk whatever's top of mind, what you're working on, if there's something else that you need to work through and talk through. So we are going to go ahead and we've got a good 15 to 20 minutes by Marnie, and we will go ahead and hold on just a second. We're gonna make sure I get that all in there. All right. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and throw you in a room. 1 second. 1 second, sorry. Okay. Okay, let's pretend I was unmuted. All right, welcome back. Let's hit the reset button. That's what we did this morning at my house. Let's hit the reset button. Okay, so let's go ahead and we are good. Okay, so let's go ahead and share a couple takeaways from the whole session today with Julie Bellon or your breakout session. Who's got a quick, we've just got a couple minutes. We're going to wrap up and have a closing prayer. Who's someone who's got a takeaway that they want to share that you walked away with?
Well, I came into this meeting today completely like discouraged and feeling like 5,000 pounds, and everything today. I know I'm not like in the book process yet, but that was so good to learn. But even you asking me to say the prayer, and then who I ended up with in the breakout room was not by chance, just what I needed. And I feel so light now and ready to keep going. So thank you.
Thank you, Raylene. Thank you for sharing. Thank you. So glad you showed up. Thank you. Sometimes it's just a feat just to show up. Thank you. Anyone else?
I'll go.
Yeah.
I got to talk with Heidi, and she's awesome. And if any of you haven't, I would highly recommend that you run, don't walk, just like Heidi, just like Connie says. Go to Heidi, talk to her. I know some of us are more quiet than others. That's not a bad thing. We're just all different. But this woman has hidden depths that are unplumbed, and you want to plumb.
And if you live close enough and you can do a session with Heidi, do a session with Heidi. So it'd be awesome. Love it. Anything else? All right. Anybody? Sorry, I didn't mean to jump on. Who's got a next step? You know what you're going out doing this week. Who could share what their step is this week as we wrap up?
I am feeling a lot of resistance to like finishing my revision again. It's just like I got through and then I got back on and it hadn't saved like the second section. So I'm like, so I'm just feeling like just to get back to it. But that is my next step, is to just get that done this week. So I'm going to get her done.
Okay, I'm going to pick on you. Sally, what's your next step?
I have a whole bunch of stuff on my plate, so I should probably just finish the stuff that I mean, do the writing goals for this week. And then if I can get that stuff done, then I feel like I need to go through the books that I'm going to use to quote in my book and get all the quotes that I'm going to use and figure out which chapters they go in so that I can have it all ready so that when I go to write my chapters, it's just there. So I feel like that's what I need to do next before I can start writing.
Perfect. I love that. I love that because you're working on your nut paragraphs and she's doing that. So make it simple. Sometimes we go way too deep. So if you feel like you have all this stuff, pick one thing, just one goal. That's why we say pick one thing. Raylene, what's your step?
God willing, I'm determined to get my one big message note down. Got a lot of ideas for keynote swirling, but I just feel like I can't move forward without that message, and that's my thing right now because it just keeps morphing.
And it will, and you'll know it when you feel it. And you can ask these women, you'll as you get closer, you'll feel it. Beautiful. Jody.
It was really nice to realize that I'm not the only tweener. I also have Lisa with me. That is the tweener. I go, okay, because I know there's people who have been here for a long time and then the real new ones. And I'm kind of like in that middle road going, I do not know. I feel like a squirrel. I'm like, I don't know what's going on here. Just going to gather my nuts as quickly as I can.
Love it. Love it. Okay. Action step, I know we're at 2, so I want to make sure that we wrap up because I know we've got that, but do a 10-second, what's your 10-second like do next week, Jerusha?
I'm meeting with you tomorrow.
Okay. Carrie.
Yeah, probably doing the same, getting ready to meet with you tomorrow.
Heidi. Oh yeah, you shared yours. Thank you, Angela. I told you it's Monday on a Wednesday.
I'm going to revisit my keynote outline. I'm not sure that I like it. I might switch to a completely different keynote topic. So either tweak the old one or completely do a new one.
Fantastic. Hey, Ashley.
I'm going to keep on writing.
Awesome. Great job, ladies. Thank you so much for joining us today. And Lisa had to go, so I'm going to say our closing prayer.